Tes.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Arib, founder and CEO of Kestrel, and I'd like to let you into a little secret. What if I told you that every time I had to use one of these, I felt like I was doing something wrong? And it's a problem that is shared by over 2 billion people on the planet who all identify as being Muslim. The issue is that for Muslims, engaging in interest is entirely forbidden. So doing anything like having a savings account to taking out a mortgage is tantamount to committing a major sin. Now, of course, Islamic banks do exist. However,
Inefficient traditional waste collection is a growing challenge that is causing overflowing waste, higher operating costs, and lack of data. Trayong has the solution. Our smart waste management system, which includes ultrasonic sensors, will transform the waste industry. Our ultrasonic sensors are integrated into waste bins, accurately measuring their volume in real time. The sensor data is transmitted to our advanced system software, providing comprehensive insights and analytics. Inefficient traditional waste collection is a growing challenge that is causing overflowing waste, higher operating costs, and lack of data. Trayong has the solution. Our smart waste management system, which includes ultrasonic sensors, will transform the waste industry. Our ultrasonic sensors are integrated into waste bins, accurately measuring their volume in real time. The sensor data is transmitted to our advanced system software, providing comprehensive insights and analytics, which enables us to provide future predictions, higher accuracy planning, and better cost management. With our one-tap accept feature, drivers receive optimized auto-routing directly on their smartphones while calculating the maximum load to achieve the best route for drivers. With our technology, our customers will achieve significant cost savings, increase operational efficiency, and reduce environmental impact. Trayom, empowering people to manage waste intelligently towards a cleaner and smarter city.
hi, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Arib, founder and CEO of Kestrel, and I'd like to let you into a little secret. What if I told you that every time I had to use one of these? Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Arib, founder and CEO of Kestrel, and I'd like to let you into a little secret. What if I told you that every time I had to use one of these, I felt like I was doing something wrong? And it's a problem that is shared by over 2 billion people on the planet who all identify as being Muslim. The issue is that for Muslims, engaging in interest is entirely forbidden. So doing anything like having a savings account to taking out a mortgage is tantamount to committing a major sin. Now, of course, Islamic banks do exist. However, they are infamous for having poor customer service, terrible user experiences, and much higher fees. Which means that most Muslims don't end up using them. They use conventional banks instead, and in effect, they end up compromising throughout their lives and what is to us on our afterlives. And that is why we started Kestrel. Kestrel helps Muslims grow their wealth without compromising on their beliefs, making budgeting, saving, and investing into Islamically approved products. Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Arib, founder and CEO of Kestrel, and I'd like to let you into a little secret. What if I told you that every time I had to use one of these, I felt like I was doing something wrong? And it's a problem that is shared by over 2 billion people on the planet who all identify as being Muslim. The issue is that for Muslims, engaging in interest is entirely forbidden. So doing anything like having a savings account to taking out a mortgage is tantamount to committing a major sin. Now, of course, Islamic banks do exist. However, they are infamous for having poor customer service, terrible user experiences, and much higher fees. Which means that most Muslims don't end up using them. They use conventional banks instead, and in effect,
Test mic, test mic. Test, test. Hello, hello. Hello.
Inefficient traditional waste collection is a growing challenge that is causing overflowing waste, higher operating costs, and lack of data. Trayon has the solution. Our smart waste management system, which includes ultrasonic sensors, will transform the waste industry. Our ultrasonic sensors are integrated into waste bins, accurately measuring the volume in real time. The sensor data is transmitted to our advanced system software, providing comprehensive insights and analytics, which enables us to provide future predictions, higher accuracy planning, and better cost management. With our one-tap accept feature, drivers receive optimized auto routing directly on their smartphones while calculating the maximum load to achieve the best route for drivers. With our technology, our customers will achieve significant cost savings, increase operational efficiency, and reduce environmental impact. Trayon, empowering people to manage waste intelligently towards a cleaner and smarter city.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Arib, founder and CEO of Kestrel, and I'd like to let you into a little secret. What if I told you that every time I had to use one of these, I felt like I was doing something wrong? And it's a problem that is shared by over 2 billion people on the planet, who all identify as being Muslim. The issue is that for Muslims, engaging in interest is entirely forbidden. So doing anything like having a savings account to taking out a mortgage is tantamount to committing a major sin. Now, of course, Islamic banks do exist. However, they are infamous for having poor customer service, terrible user experiences, and much higher fees. Which means that most Muslims don't end up using them. They use conventional banks instead, and in effect, they end up compromising throughout their lives and what is to us on our afterlives. And that is why we started Kestrel. Kestrel helps Muslims grow their wealth without compromising on their beliefs, making budgeting, saving, and investing into Islamically approved products easier than ever before. Just plug your bank account into Kestrel with a few taps and let our algorithms take care of the rest. Now, in building the solution for retail consumers, we realized we were actually solving a problem for the larger Islamic banks who were branch-based and in dire need of digitalization. Bank Islam, the largest Islamic bank in Malaysia, reached out to us asking if they could white label our app and use it to power their own digital bank. So naturally, we said yes.
So what's next? We have just opened our Malaysia office for our growing tech team. This will be our base of operation as we offer our software as a service solution to more banks.
Yes, hello, welcome everyone.
region,
Hope you guys enjoy yourself.
beyond.
I think we're gonna
We
start
are
in
also
another 5
constantly
minutes.
improving and
Dalam
launching
3-5
new
macam tu lah.
features in our consumer app,
Right,
like our
please have a
halal
seat.
stock screener, auto saving pods, and much.
Hey guys, those outside boleh masuk dalam lah. We're gonna start dalam 5 minit lagi. In 5 minutes. Please have a seat. Yes. Boleh masuk. Minum air masala tea, ada masala tea special made by Encik Faris. Alright. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera semua. Good afternoon everyone. Those outside dah boleh masuk lah. Have a seat. Fill up the front row. Or anywhere you want to sit. Alright, so let's start. Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to say terima kasih. Thank you. For everyone who's coming, boleh masuk-masuk, try masala tea daripada jauh datang. Yeah. I would like to thanks to IIB, Iskandar Investment Berhad, Kestrel, Triom, the audience and people in the live stream, semua yang sedang menonton, thank you for coming and joining our first pilot episode of Sembang Masala. Yeah. But before that, I would like to start, before we start this event, Holy, I would like to start by sharing these wonderful words that I think that have been keeping me alive and always motivated all this while. Okay, so here it goes. Ya Allah, please open your mighty door of wisdom and knowledge. Devour us with your blessings and love. Free up our chest, light it up, make our life easier, soften our tongue, so that our words are easily understood. So those are the specific words that I always use before I even start something, even start this thing. Rasa macam nervous ke apa ke, or maybe if I'm learning something, it helps me a lot. So it sparked my motivation and thirst for knowledge, which has brought me here today. So the community that we're building right now is based on the same principle to cultivate the culture of learning. That's why we built this thing, to cultivate the culture of learning, and based on what you learn, you do it, and then when you do it, you share it, you give it back, right? All the knowledge that we have, we share it with each other. So there is a saying that they say, in this land of opportunity, you not only raise your standard of living, but also raise the standard of giving. So that is one of the motivation that what make we build this community here. So that we can give to everyone here, starting with this group of people here around Medini, especially in Johor. So especially in Johor, because we're trying to build this place up as well, to see how it goes with the tech community here. And the focus is actually on tech, development, design, and what's the other one? Dev data, yes. One more thing here, something like that. So we name ourselves Sembang Masala. So I'm pretty sure that you guys are wondering what is Sembang Masala. Sembang Masala basically is chat, and also masala, the word play itself by itself. Masala is a chai, a tea, aromatic tea, and also masala problem. So we try to make it like we sembang-sembang, but we don't gebang-gebang, or something like that lah. So in this pilot episode, we establish ourselves with AWS User Group Johor to actually try to see how the acceptance, macam mana community di sini terima AWS User Group tu sendiri. Because from what I heard from Fabian Tan, the head of tech from AWS, he said that AWS cloud enthusiasts is actually hiding here in Johor. They tak keluar pun. They don't know where they are, but most of the clients, their clients are in the manufacturing industry. So macam try to see try to korek-korek. There's one friend here I know, maybe use the AWS. Those two of you in front, yeah, I know, you look at me. Hadi and Odin. So they are like the hidden one that lives in Johor, but not really here, in the AWS part lah. And also they, two of them are coming here to share, as you see in the poster, to share, to start the sharing session of AWS products. But yeah, it's a totally superb support that we got from AWS for this. Yeah. And then I think for the next coming events, this is what we're gonna do lah. So we try to make it a regular cadence to actually give this mission a go, to share the knowledge and stuff. You can go to awsug.my to learn more about AWS User Group movement. So we also like to understand the demand better here, what we can do to improve this, and we'd love your feedback. If you can see around you there's QR codes for feedback and improvements that I think we can do better for the next coming events. And then I think I would not like to waste more time. Ready? Okay, so I think we go for the next session, which is a sharing by AWS, Mr. Fahim and also Jiaching, talking about generative AI, and I would like to invite them to take over on the stage. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Common Ground and AWS User Group hosted by Sembang Masala. First, I would like to thank everyone, the host, for inviting us to present today. Okay. So my name is Jachin, JQ. You can call me JQ. And this person is Fahim. And he is also, both of us are solutions architect from AWS. And today I would like to talk about how you could code less, create more with Amazon Code Whisperer. Okay. I'll pass it on to Fahim to start the presentation.
Thanks, JQ. So before we jump right into Code Whisperer, I kind of wanted to give everybody kind of a level set and a primer on generative AI. So this is one of my favorite slides. In case you've been living under a rock for the past few months, generative AI is kind of the hottest thing since sliced bread, right? So Stable Diffusion is a publicly available open source model. It requires developers to integrate it and run it on their own laptops, on their own environments. And the GitHub profile for Stable Diffusion accumulated 40,000 stars in the first 90 days. Now this graph shows that it's even faster than Bitcoin initially take up. Now, if you look at when it comes to generative AI and a consumer-facing application, everyone is no stranger to ChatGPT. And within the first 5 days, had 1 million users, way faster than Instagram or even Spotify. The only thing that's kind of beat it now is I think Threads recently came out and did it in like a few hours. But suffice it to say, generative AI is here to stay. Now, let's go to the next slide. So what is generative AI? Simply put, it is AI that can generate content. So if you're familiar with most machine learning models, they have a very specific use case, right? They either do prediction, they do classification, some can do clustering, but generative AI literally creates content from scratch, from nothing. The other great thing about generative AI, or what qualifies as generative AI, is they're built on foundation models. And we'll talk about foundation models in a moment. They're applicable to many use cases, which is also very different than most AI models. Normally you create a model per use case, whereas a single foundation model in generative AI can be used for multiple use cases with minimal fine-tuning. But if you do choose to fine-tune it, you can do it and specify it for really customized domains. But it requires a lot less data. So here we have an example of Volvo using generative AI to generate custom car concepts using, I think, Stable Diffusion, or this is for Midjourney, right? So let's go to the next slide. So like I was mentioning, right, when you do traditional ML models, the first thing you need is a large amount of labeled data. We call this supervised learning. I'm sure you've heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out, right? So if your data is not, well labeled, it's not curated, the data quality isn't there, you're not going to be able to create your model. And this is a problem that we see with a lot of people and a lot of customers because they just don't have the data. Startups specifically, you're just brand new, where are you going to generate quality data? But foundation models are a bit different. They're trained on large amounts, and when I say large, I mean billions and billions of data points of unlabeled data. We're talking scouring the web, looking at Wikipedia, a lot of this stuff on the internet. And then what happens is these foundational models have something within them because the number of parameters they use are in the orders of 7 billion to 40 billion. You'll see these numbers when it comes to foundation models. And they're able to have emergent behavior, which is they're able to pick up things through this massive amount of unlabeled data sets that we didn't expect them to. And what that makes them really good at is being general. So once you have a general foundational model, you can use it for tasks like task generation or summarization or chatbots or Q&A. Right, let's go to the next slide. So here are some of the places where it's having the most impact. Creativity is by far some of the greatest ones, and I think we have a speaker to talk a little bit about that later. There's also search. So we'll talk a bit more about how organizations are using search and how generative AI is empowering that. The obvious one is also chatbots and Q&A, which is something that I think we've started to see, and we'll have a few examples of that later. And then productivity. And that's why we're here today to talk about Code Whisperer. But before that, let's see a few use cases that people have been using for generative AI. So let's see the first one. Now, okay, you can't hear the sound, so I'll just talk over it. So this is one of our customers on AWS. They're based out of Australia. And they're just showcasing some of the stuff that they've built with generative AI. So, for example, uploading a single image, creating different posters, just generating content, just adding text to it. It's automatically able to give you templates. You can do some magic writing where you're able to create content for your presentations on the fly. Really cool translations. Again, you don't have to use a specific translation model or API. It can just translate because it's learned that under the hood. We've got Magic Edit. This is called in-painting, where you can just take a picture, change what it is, generate it to red. You can transform text to images. Again, this is kind of the most common use case, Stable Diffusion under the hood, right? And there are more and more ideas. This is a 1.5-minute video, but just to save some time, we're going to just go ahead and skip that. So this is Canva from Australia, and they've built this on AWS using kind of Stable Diffusion under the hood and using generative AI techniques. Another way that companies are using generative AI today is chatbots. So if we go to the next slide, and we have Expedia.com. So we can go ahead and play this video. And so the thing is normally when you try to build a chatbot, you have to create this complicated decision tree matrix and program all of the conversations that you're going to go in, right? And that can become cumbersome and it can become complicated, and it doesn't have that kind of nice feeling for people to interact and connect with your chatbot. So what they're using here, Expedia, is using ChatGPT under the hood. And this particular question, if you can't see it, it's asking, hey, what's the best vacation spot in Hawaii between these two islands? And because even though it's not trained or a conversational tree, it's able to understand from its trained data set across the entire internet what are the best places, recommend the best places, and then Expedia under the hood takes that output and generates trips automatically based on the customer's preference. And it's not something that they had to explicitly train the model to do, right? So chatbots. Go to the next one, enhancing search. So when it comes to search, if you think about it for a moment, if I can put in a complicated search string or just a bunch of text and generate an image, say like an astronaut riding on a unicorn, and I can generate an image, I should be able to do the reverse. Give it an image and tell me what's all of the keywords within this image. And you can begin to see how you can empower search engines to be a lot faster and a lot better with generative AI. In fact, we have our model. We have the Alexa teacher model, which if you can go look at the research paper, did pretty well on a lot of the benchmarks. I think it won quite a few of the benchmarks. And we've open sourced this and made this available on Jumpstart for you to play around with today. So we do have a few. I personally have a customer who's already using something like this under the hood to empower their AI-powered search. Let's go on to the next one. So enhancing productivity. So the NVIDIA CEO, software is eating the world, but AI is going to eat software, right? And that's kind of the story here. And productivity is one of the places where generative AI has made a big impact. Speaking of that, before we jump into it, right, I just want to talk about why you should use AWS for generative AI. This is something that we've been doing for many, many years. When it comes to Amazon.com, we literally wrote the book, and I mean that literally, on recommendation engines. We wrote the paper on it, and then we open sourced it and turned it into personalized. We showed everybody how to do it. And when you're looking in the US right now, we have our Amazon Go stores where you walk in, pick something up, and immediately have the product. And then also we have our drone delivery service. So when it comes to AI, you better believe we've been doing it for a really long time. The other advantages, of course, and we'll talk a little bit about this, is our new offering, Bedrock, where we're partnering with multiple generative AI and LLM providers. So we give you a lot of flexibility. When it comes to trust, we always say internally is security is job zero. So security is something that we've really thought about a lot and baked into generative AI and all of the models that we have. And finally, viability, right? We have the most number of services, and we kind of interact with them, and all of our AI services will work that way as well. Let's go to the next slide. So I don't want this slide to overwhelm you, but when it comes to AI, we have a massive number of offerings regardless of your experience. So at the bottom of the stack, if you're a provider, which means you want to build your own AI foundational model from scratch, we have custom silicon, we have frameworks, stuff that we've open source as well for the community to use. You can go ahead and use the bottom of the stack. If you're a tuner, if you're someone who wants to take a foundational model and tweak it for your company's requirements, we have the middle of the stack, which is kind of our SageMaker offerings and our Jumpstart. But if you're just a consumer and that's something you don't want to think about, we have just our built-in AI services. When it comes to generative AI, these are kind of the services that we have. We're going to really quickly highlight. Let's move on to the next slide. Great. So when it comes to generative AI, these are kind of the top-down approaches we have from AWS. But my favorite, by far, is the first one that we're going to talk about, and that is Code Whisperer. Is that next? Okay. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to JQ. JQ?
Right. Okay, so back to today's focus topic. We're going to talk about Code Whisperer. Let me start with a little bit of the challenges that developers or organizations are currently facing. So first, it's the shortage of developers. When you want to hire a developer, you need to look at what frameworks do they know. Are they a front-end, back-end, full-stack developers? And it's really hard to hire the right person for the right job. But now, at the same time, is that even if you hire the person, they're going to take time to learn a new framework or adapt into the company's coding practices. And also things such as using a new API or a new programming languages to write code. So that's one of the challenges, and that's why we have Code Whisperer, which helps with all of these challenges. It provides you with code suggestions that helps you to get started faster. Okay, so Code Whisperer is an AI coding companion that supports the following languages: Python, Java, JavaScript, TypeScript, and it also supports in these following IDEs. Maybe you can't really see, but it's VS Code, PyCharm, IntelliJ, and other IDEs. It also has other additional capabilities such as reference tracking. So when you write a code and you get the code suggestions, it actually tells you where the code is originating from. So then you know where you took that code from. So you don't really just randomly take it from Stack Overflow or things like that when you want to actually use that code for like a company project for production workloads and things like that. And it also comes with a security scanning feature. So when you do a static code analysis, you want to be able to scan through your code repository and find out what are the common security vulnerabilities that's available. And Code Whisperer allows you to do that. There's also a bias avoidance feature as well. So Code Whisperer filters out some of the biases that you might have when you're writing a code. So an example would be when you're writing a unit test and maybe you're testing out some names through the function, and maybe you're using just English names and you're not using other names. So that's just one example of bias avoidance. Okay, so Code Whisperer just recently became generally available to customers to use. And previously, when it was in preview, Amazon did a research on how Code Whisperer is able to allow people to be 57% faster compared to those who doesn't use Code Whisperer. And it's also 27% more accurate to complete the task compared to those who are not using Code Whisperer. Okay. So how it works, I'll show you in a little bit in the demo, is that you only need your IDE, your favorite IDE, and you just need to connect to the AWS toolkit, and then you can start using Code Whisperer. Right, here's just an example of a screenshot, but just some of the features of Code Whisperer. It generates code from a single line to an entire block of function. It can generate the code for you. And the reason for it to generate this code is not to be 100% accurate. The reason why it's actually just helping you generating these few blocks, and you can change the parameters as you like to be able to fit for your application code. Next one. It also has the reference tracking, as I mentioned. So you want to know where your code is from, and it actually shows you where it's from and links you to that GitHub repository. Okay. And security scanning, this one is supported only in VS Code and JetBrains IDEs for Python, Java, JavaScript, but basically it scans for things like maybe you have hard-coded credentials in your code, and then you kind of flag it out before you actually commit the code or push it to your code repository. Okay, next. All right, let's get started with the demo. So Fahim will be my code whisperer today, and he will be writing the code. Let's see if it's too small. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Try.
Two more. Okay. All right. So this is so how it works is you write a comment and you say that you want to create a function for binary search. So if you press enter, and on your keyboard, if you press the shortcut to enable Code Whisperer, you will actually see that this gray code here is the suggestions that it provides you. You can see that it provides you with the whole chunk of code. So this is the code for binary search for those who knows about it. And if you go press tab, you will select this code and let it, then you have this code of a full chunk of code, and you can just validate it and to see if it's correct instead of searching on how to do a binary search. Okay, next one. And now, recursive method binary search. So for those who knows programming, for recursive functions, it can be quite tricky sometimes. So now, let's see what Code Whisperer generates for us. Okay. All right. This is correct. It's calling the function recursively, as you can see here. Okay, next one. Now for AWS specific API. So let's say if you want to write a code for using a function to create a DynamoDB table. A DynamoDB table is basically a NoSQL database. Okay. All right. So if you look at here, there's this tiny line that says, if you accept, you will import this library called Bodo3. And this is quite handy because sometimes you maybe forget to import the function and your code just doesn't work. So if you press tab, it automatically imports the function on top of at the top of the file. Okay. Okay, now this is a function to create DynamoDB table. It's more specific with the prompts, with the comments, and you say with the employee ID as the primary key and using the read capacity units at 100 and 200 at the write capacity units. So let's go ahead and generate the code. Hey, if you scroll down, it actually, it specifically generates the code based on what you have commented. So one of the things with AWS SDKs, if you are starting out using it, there are a lot of times you have to go to the documentation, or any other SDKs, you have to go to the documentation, you have to read the whole documentation potentially to find the correct function to use for your application. So that's one of the cool things that you can do. As you know that you can now just choose the correct function and try it out and see if it works, instead of reading through the whole documentation before writing your code. Okay, now this is a longer function. So it says it's a function that takes a list that contains numbers and strings, format them into a string which contains, which the numbers is prepended with a hashtag, and the string is wrapped in a double quote. So it's a very long prompt, and let's see what it generates. Okay, so here you can see that you can actually go through different options in Code Whisperer to select the one that you think is correct, because sometimes it might not be correct. Okay, so this one is correct, and there you go. And one of the things as well Code Whisperer can help you is quickly generate fake data. And here you can see I have the username, user ID, and I have the city as San Francisco. And when you have the first line, you wrote it yourself. You can generate the second, the third, the fourth with similar attributes, just changing the city. So this is a very cool feature to have for unit testing. Cool. Now, for the other example, I'm importing RE. Importing RE is regular expression. So what I want to do here is write a function that verifies email address. Let's see what it generates. Okay. Right, so now it knows to use the RE library to be able to match this regular expression. And most of you who knows regular expression know it's really hard to come up with the formula that matches the correct input that you want to match it with. So, yep. And with the same prompt, Code Whisperer actually takes in context of your IDE. So in this case, if I were to use Bodo3, and SES is our email service in AWS, and it will actually know how to use the SES API to verify the email identity with the same prompt. Okay, next. All right, this is another example for unit testing. So I have a function to sum two numbers, and now I'm going to write a test case for this function. I'm going to let Code Whisperer do it for me. I'm going to be assert equal to many, many different test cases, and you can see that this is quite handy when you don't want to spend a lot of time writing unit tests. Okay, cool. All right, now we have another example here, which is parsing a CSV string that contains the artist, album, title, and year. And you ignore the lines that are starting with a hashtag. So here, you can see that this highlighted red, blue, blue is saying that reference code under MIT. View full details in Code Whisperer reference log. So this is an example where it takes the code from a GitHub repository and and it generates the reference log there. You can see that, so you can see where your code was from. So if you click onto the repository, it brings you to this GitHub repository that says that, hey, this data, this code generated is similar to the training data, which is from here. So you know it's under MIT license or Apache 2.0 license, and that's what you need to know when you are writing code, so you know that you are writing your code responsibly and giving credit to the people who wrote it. Okay, next one. Okay, so this is for a security risk demonstration. So in this command, you see that I'm just taking the input from the user, enter a command, and I'm opening an OS processor to run the command from the user. So what happens here is on this side, there's actually AWS toolkit here where you are connected to Code Whisperer in the beginning. And there is one tiny function that says you can run a security scan. So when you hit that button, and you get the problems listed in your IDE. Okay, I think it's very small, but I'll read it out to you. It says that CWEOS command injection. So if you're familiar with Log4j attacks, this is one of the similar attacks that's labeled, right? If you, for those who don't know about Log4j, basically is when you're writing a command, when you're getting a command from a user, and if you didn't sanitize the input, the user can write anything in the input, and then they can attack your device when they, if they have the intention to do so. Okay. All right. You can even generate SQL statements with Code Whisperer. So this is a huge chunk of code, but basically it's generating I'm asking it to create 3 tables that is the evaluation for students in what classes and what grades do they get. So So this is what is generated by Code Whisperer. So if you have your SQL statements and you want to generate a query for a query, so now you can do, what you can do is write a command below. It says, write a query that shows the highest grades and students from each what? From each course, okay. So now Code Whisperer will actually write a join table statement for you. Oh, it's not this. Okay, now it doesn't generate the one. Oh, yeah. So it writes a join statement. So you can use it to generate SQL statements as well if you are lazy, like me. All right, the last one is Code Whisperer will actually also generate code bits based on your coding styles. So if you can see here, Fahim is writing his code really weirdly. He's using the brackets. Instead of putting it here, he's putting it down here. So yeah, it's very ugly, but I don't know why he likes it. So now if you write a command, and you want to add 3 numbers, for example, and you can see that the code being generated is having the same ugly style as what you wrote. So that's it. Okay. Let me go back to, right. So other than what we've shown earlier, Code Whisperer has also the enterprise feature. So that is the paid version. And it allows you to, in an organization, some companies likes to manage the single sign-on. They like to ensure that their developers are not using the generative AI without the control. So for example, nowadays, people are using ChatGPT on their own. So you might not be able to control what prompt that they put into ChatGPT, for example. There might be a data leak or things like that. But in case of Code Whisperer, when you use it, if you use the Enterprise Edition, it automatically disables the use of your code being used as the training data to Code Whisperer. And it also has some of the organizational policies that you can set. So for example, if you don't want to use open source code from anywhere, so you can disable that if in the enterprise version. It also has 500 security scans per user compared to 50 in the free version. So here are some of the benefits. So we believe that Code Whisperer will be able to improve developer productivity and allows you to more easily learn a new framework, learn a new programming languages, new API, and you code securely and more responsibly. You also improve your application security, and you can still continue using your favorite IDE while doing so. Right, the next one. So Code Whisperer is my favorite service, his favorite service too, because it's free to use for individual developers. I talked about the enterprise version, but you can try it out. Some of the QR codes here are just for you to scan if you want to. All right, I'll hand it over to Fahim.
Thanks, JQ. My code is not that bad. I mean, it's all right. Anyway, so Code Whisperer is great. Like she mentioned, it is my favorite service because it's free. So it's one of those things that if you're not using it, why not? And it integrates with a lot of the more popular IDs. We have a lot of people already using it. It's pretty darn great. But I just want to talk a little bit more about the rest of the generative AI offerings on AWS. And I think we hinted to a few things. So let's talk about Bedrock and Jumpstart first. So Bedrock is our offering for generative AI that's coming out later this year. Now, instead of reading all of these slides, there's 2 things that I really want to kind of call out. The first thing is, if you looked at the first slide, I talked about how quickly the landscape is changing within generative AI. We've understood that, and we've started to partner with multiple companies, right? So whether it's Anthropic, whether it's AI21, or Stable Diffusion at launch with Bedrock, and all of these proprietary models will be available through an API. So you don't have to worry about the infrastructure, you don't want to worry about the GPU inside, you don't have to worry about anything. You just get an API and you can call it and it'll just work right out of the box. Now, the reason why we've taken that approach is if you look at like the Hugging Face leaderboard for a while ago, right? We've had Falcon 40B come up. Then we have Llama 2 just came up from Meta. We understand from AWS that the landscape is changing so quickly. So instead of going all in on a single model or a single partner, we're saying, hey, we'll partner with everyone. Whoever wants to release a model, whether it's open source, so you want to wrap it within an API like Bedrock, we're happy to come and have a conversation with you, right? That's one thing I wanted to keep in mind. And the other thing is we're going to talk a little bit about privacy and security right at the end. And because JQ mentioned it, there have been examples where people have been using say something like ChatGPT. I think the famous one that's going around LinkedIn is where Samsung developers use ChatGPT to debug their code. They put proprietary code into there, and then someone else found it later on. Right. And this is a problem for a lot of organizations because if you're using LLMs, not just for generating code, but looking at your documents, doing summarization, helping build for your call centers, if you have some industry secrets that you don't want leaked out, how do you make sure that it's controlled, right? And we'll talk a little bit about what AWS is doing for that. Let's go to the next slide. So when Bedrock launches, like I mentioned, we'll have multiple models, Jurassic, Claude, and Stable Diffusion. Claude is really interesting because if you're playing around in the LLM space, one of the things that's a limiting factor is called tokens, right? The number of tokens you can actually put into a prompt to get the AI to pick something up without having to fine-tune it. ChatGPT, some other LLMs are going somewhere between 4,000 and 32,000 tokens. Claude just said that Claude 2.0 that's going to be released has a 100,000 token window. What does that mean? It means you can take The Great Gatsby, the entire novel, put it into a single prompt and immediately start asking questions about it. So instead of having to spend money on GPUs and training a large language model with 40 billion parameters and going through all that, you can just put most of your data into a single prompt and immediately get benefits out of it. And of course, we'll have our R2. We have Titan text embeddings. If you know about embeddings, you'll know what that is. Don't want to talk about that right now. And then we have our own domain-specific LLMs that we'll be releasing as well. But if you don't want to wait for Bedrock to come out, today you can start using all these models, whether they're open source or proprietary, directly on Jumpstart. Right? You can just go, and it's very easy to get started. All you have to do is you go to SageMaker Studio. There's literally a button where you can click deploy. You just search for any of the models. We're partnering with Hugging Face as well. You can have code samples if you want, or you can just have a one-click button deploy for an endpoint and immediately start playing around with these open source models that run directly in your environment. You can remove them later on. You can do anything you want with them. They're completely yours and they're completely open source, right? Now, so that's kind of the overview. If you're going to wait, if you want an API, you want it completely serverless, you want it fully managed, and you want a whole bunch of different providers, Bedrock. You can wait for that. And if you have a use case today, then maybe have a conversation with your AWS rep to see if we can get you in the private preview. If you don't want to wait for that and you really want to just have a quick deployment of open source models or in your regulated environment, Jumpstart is the way to go immediately, right? So let's go to the next one. All right. So here's something I want to talk about because data privacy and security is really important, right? So the way that AWS, along with Jumpstart, which is kind of the open source models, when we work with a proprietary model provider, kind of like in the financial services industry where you have two people wanting to exchange money and they hold it in an escrow account, AWS does the same thing. So for example, when we work with Anthropic, we take Claude, we take the model weights, we freeze them, we wrap it around an API for you, and that entire package is deployed in your VPC. Claude doesn't have access to it. We don't have access to it. I mean, we do, but we don't really have anything in the race because we're not going all in on a single provider. So no one else gets to train it other than you, and when you delete your account in your VPC, it gets deleted with that as well. So we kind of get it on loan, and that way you can fine-tune it with an API, or you can just use it directly out of the box. And that's kind of the principle we've used, and that kind of helps us get around kind of all these problems with your data being leaked whenever you want to use you know, an LLM or generative AI model. And if that still isn't good enough, of course, like I mentioned, we have Jumpstart. You can use that under the hood instead. I think that's it from us, right? Right. A really quick thing. So if you are a tuner, or if you're using a very popular open source model under the hood, we have our own custom silicon, right? We have Trainium, we have Inferentia. I have a customer using this. They were using other GPUs. They used Stable Diffusion, and they were able to save 20 to 30%. Now, GPUs are very expensive, so being able to reduce your training costs or your inferencing costs by 20, 30, even 50% in some cases is a big deal. So if you are doing that, go ahead and check out our custom silicon. If you're familiar with Graviton CPU, we've done the same thing for machine learning. All right, and that's it from JQ and I. Thank you very much. I think we'll hand it over to you. You're welcome.
And Fahim Surami. All right, so I guess I think if you have any questions that you want to ask the AWS team, you can head over on the SLIDO.com. It's available on the glass doors, the QR code. And the number for Slido is 237-3477. So go to slido.com, enter the code, and just ask the questions, and we will be addressing it in the Fireside Chat. One thing that I forgot to mention is one of the swags that we have for today is actually an AWS credits. So it will be best if you answer the feedback, and then you can redeem the credits at our registration counter after answering the feedback. All right, so for the next one, we are going to have all the way from KL, Mr. Taufiq Hidayat for sharing his experience on the evolution of creative industry. Yeah. So on to you.
Only you. No. Think creative industry is like movie making, film making, all that. Maybe you'll be disappointed. It's not about that. it's actually creative advertising, right? So can I know, Kakak, from creative just now? Creative, right? Okay, right. So, evolution of creative advertising. Right. First of all, I would like to thank our organizer here, Kestrel, Iskandar Investment, and also Triom. Thank you for inviting me for this sharing session. And without further ado, maybe we can start with the Nila slide. Oh, sorry. All right, for the past 15 years, creative advertising has rapidly evolved from the advancements of technology. Why technology changed creative agency, creative industry? Basically, technology and creative is like our dan tebing lah, right? It's like music and also irama lagu, all that lah, you know, because we in creative industry always want to explore this kind of new platform, new media and whatnot, right? So as a creative person, I would like to advise everyone here who is from creative, or anyone here who can also relate to it, basically to be adaptable and always ready to provide creative solutions. So when we talk about technology advancement, right, there's two parts of it. So for first, what evolution that we see here is actually from media channel itself, right? We're talking about the changing trends of social, political values and consumer behavior, and also the platform itself, right? For creative tools, of course, we have a lot of new updates from Adobe, from the creative tools that we're using now, and also the evolution of mobile app for creative tools lah, right? And of course, we'll go into AI later, right? This creative tool basically simplifying our workflow, thank God, improve our quality and also efficiency, right? So first we go into evolution of media. So I think everyone know that we have print ads for past a very long time, right? Print ads is basically like the first in advertising world. Creative print ad is like the first lah, basically like those newspaper, magazines, those kind of thing. So advertisers, marketers, basically they use different type of publishing. For example, magazine, for example, is for men. So the ads also will be like towards those kind of audience, right? For radio ads, I think it's still relevant until today. It's a paid commercial to promote product of services. Advertisers play commercial radio station for airtime based on peak hours, right? So for example, morning, the punya rate is slightly higher lah compared to others. Similar to TV commercial, this was a long-lasting media channel until today. It's famous, it's more rich, but then it's very hard to optimize lah, whether the result and everything, right? And then it goes into digital era, right? That's where I'm starting, where I start lah. Digital. I'm a digital designer back then. I was Flash designer, which is obsolete right now. Yeah. So, but those old school software, right? It somewhat shaped the new software. So although the tools dah obsolete, but then the skill is somewhat similar to the next gen or the different kind of software evolved from Flash itself, right? So digital ads is very used right nowadays because it's cost saving, it's efficient, and the result is more it's more targeted lah, right? Similar to social ads, social media advertising is defined as a form of digital advertising that serves paid ads to your target audience using social media such as TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Basically, people here should have seen any of social ads out there lah, right? And the next generation, for the future, right, is actually more into UGC. Maybe, have you guys ever heard of UGC before? Yeah. So it's original, it's brand specific, it's content created by customer, but somewhat brand also start to be some kind of UGC on themselves, right? To disguise lah among the other content creator out there. Okay. So with the internet penetration rate of 96.8%, Malaysia ranked 10th in the world for internet use in 2023. So I would like to suggest everyone out there who haven't really penetrate into this online digital ads or social media, I think we should, because we have like 91% Malaysian population here on this ecosystem, right? So it's proven also it's one it's like it's the best media out there compared to others. You can see the growth, annual growth of 5.6 here compared to 1.8 in TV advertising. All right, so there's nothing new in media, right? For AI, they've been using this for a while now. Basically, they want to have better prediction of ad relevant, to target the right consumer at the right time, and of course, lower costs and higher returns lah. So, how can we optimize, right? From the AI punya just now, how can we optimize? Basically, they encourage us to create more different kind of creative variation to allow algorithm to match the right people with the most relevant ads, right? This is from Meta. It's like 32% increased efficiency lah, right? With different set of communication, they want to target different specific kind of audience. It also 9% increment of reach by using different ad formats and creative. So if you can see, 9% for reach is actually huge compared to the benchmark. So when we say about diversify through messaging, right? So basically, it's not just the messaging or the copy or whatnot, right? It's also the format itself. So people are diverse. So we should would be motivated to buy. People are diverse in why they would buy, motivated to buy a product. So your messaging strategy should highlight different motivators that prompt individual to make purchase from your brand, right? For example, the first one I have here is engagement. This is just to engage people to ask questions, right? So they can interact with it, you know. The question also, it should be more relatable. It cannot be so corporate. And then we have more into product and promo focus. This should work as the hardworking ads where people will straight away see what they get and they straight away can interact with it. And the last is the animated treatment. Let me play first. Oh, tak ada audio. Oh. Oh no, it's it's a bit laggy. Is there a way that we can make? Cannot lah. Okay, never mind. Right, you can just visualize it lah how it. Or you can go to our Instagram or YouTube, right, to see the video itself. Right. And then adaptation doesn't work. So it's usual for campaign, any campaign, right? You should have the high production punya video, right? But then it's not meant to be used for all across platform. So for this one, we did for our last year birthday campaign. Let's have a look first.
We are all unique individuals, but together we can achieve great things. Together we can be unstoppable.
Alright, so for your main video, you can be more thematical, basically to show. This is just to guide more awareness lah, right? So people know about our our campaign. So for digital and social ads allow marketer to A/B test with different kind of creative. So for how from this we translate into different creative for other platform, which is relevant to the platform itself. So first one for digital ads, usually we'll go with video, but then we make sure that the format, if it's in muted form, default by default pun is fine. So we go with more copy driven instead. Yep. So it should be short, packed with information. And as you can see here, we explore with different languages as well. So it doesn't have to be all English, doesn't have to be all BM. You can always explore dual languages as well. So for those Reels and TikTok, right, Meta and TikTok suggested that the video should be more lo-fi, as in terms of quality. So it doesn't look to be so polished. It needs to look like, as in it's raw, as in it's from any content creator out there. So the visual should somewhat look like this.
It's raining boosters this birthday month.
Join us in our unstoppable celebration.
Oh, sorry, this one is YouTube bumper. Sorry, the TikTok ads and Reels should be like this.
Hello, Boosty. Join us in our unstoppable birthday celebration. Collect up to 25 free birthday surprises. And here's how you can redeem them. Collect all of your birthday wallet rewards and enjoy unstoppable savings. Save 5 ringgit when you go makan-makan at places. Enjoy 5 ringgit birthday savings when you shop online and jimat extra 5 ringgit on your daily essentials. Korang can also save extra 5 ringgit on your bill payments. Jom collect and redeem your birthday wallet rewards from Boost app. Boost now and be unstoppable.
Yeah. So the first few seconds is very important. So that's where people decided to stay or to move lah, right? So if the first few seconds people know that it's an ad, people will straight away skip already. So you miss your chance to interact with them. So these are the best, the practice that that at least I use lah for this while. I call it dare. Basically to disguise our content to make it look UGC-ish with lo-fi creative content, but keep our branding prominent lah, right? Let me play the first one. And next one is very important. You need to be authentic. You need to be human. You need to sound like other people out there. So doesn't mean that you are corporate. They need to sound like a corporate lah, right? Something like this.
Hey guys, FYI, kita kan disarankan untuk saving. Jadi actually berapa banyak dan macam mana rakyat Malaysia buat saving? Jom kita cakap.
How many percent you get to save every month? I try to save around 10, but I usually save around like 2 or 3.
30%. 30%?
5 to 6% every week. So do you think it's like getting harder to save money at the point of time? I think with like more responsibilities, it gets harder as you go along.
Mostly when it comes to entertainment, family.
What do you save for? I save for vacations actually. But then you never know, sometimes it could be like a rainy day situation.
Untuk I punya kahwin and also pesawat.
One line you can use to describe your saving habits or other.
Be realistic, hard, but I tried.
Oh yo, banyak kan jawapan berbeza. Orang pula macam mana? Nak financial idea? Stay tuned for the next Boost FYI.
Yeah. So the second one, third one is somewhat similar. When you be human, right? You also need to be relatable lah. So, but then for relatable for this one, I'm more focused on trend checking, like what's happening, what the hot topic currently, and we need to be part of it as well. So this was last few weeks where Mission Impossible just launched. Yeah, origami too is basically like our mascot lah for our bill payment. Right? So lastly is engaging lah, right? Compact with information and make sure that it's fun and entertaining.
Yeah, 2-0-2-2 boost unstoppable year. Ayo kita bermula 2-0-2-2 boost berwajah baru. We are all unstoppable, yes me and you. Malaysia's booster cash asli di sana sini. Transaksinya tinggi like and bill on more KLCC. Manage semua bill dalam phone saja. Tak perlu risau, boost bill settle semua. Lebih 3 juta boost tak diguna untuk bayar. Lebih 40% rumah di Malaysia pun dah guna. Wah, aku like takkan nak swipe. Hey boosties, get ready to catch up the next verse, y'all.
Yeah. So again, it's quite interrelated to each other. As you can see, the lyric just now, we also use what went viral last year, right? Like the swipe swipe song, all that. Okay. Okay, right. So with this best practice, of course, there's no such ideal formula lah, where if you do this, confirm viral. No, there's no such thing as viral video lah, right? It's almost macam jackpot lah if you hit it right. So with the evolution of creative tools, allows designer to produce more cool stuff in a shorter time period. For example, for this one, it took me like less than one week lah to finish it, from storyboarding to this video, right? So this allows us to be more experimental. So always try to have fun with your ideas and try to target as many people as you can, right? For this one, I think because of Boruto just launched that time, so we went to this kind of route.
Gimana, brother? Bayar lagi dulu. Mewah. Sungguh. Kenapa dia cakap Jepun ni? Aduh. Wah, bestnya bila dah dibayar. Terima kasih ya sebab bayar on time. You again.
Jangan biarkan bil bulanan menghantui hidup anda. Sambungkan dengan bayaran Boost Mobiles. Boost, lagi senang, lagi rewarding.
Yeah, even the voice is my voice. Yep. Yeah, so let's go to creative tool pula. So as you know, before this, before all the digital, right, everything is like manual lah, right? This is like I salute all my seniors. My uncle is here, basically do from before digital and until the early digital era, right? So the early digital era, this is my first Photoshop that I use, version 7 apparently, and the first illustration tools that I use is CorelDRAW. And of course, we have Macro Video Director. This was before the Flash itself lah. So these are the Flash. If you can see the Thanos effect though, Thanos flick itu kan. So dah obsolete. So, but then the skill still usable for other software lah. For example, After Effects, Premiere, all kind of thing, right? So these are the early 2000, the mid to 2010, if I'm not mistaken. These are the version of that. For me, this one dah cukup enough ready to be used on daily basis. And then after that, towards the 2020, we have the Canva, Procreate, and other mobile and iPad punya tools that is more easier to use lah, right? But then now, we have the beta version of Adobe, which is very interesting, right? Currently, I use it every day. This is Photoshop beta, which you can see later how they implement AI quite nicely, lah, right, on the software itself. And other than that, we have OpenAI. This is all the ChatGPT, DALL-E. DALL-E, I've never tried it before. Midjourney I tried, but I think it's not really user friendly, lah. But I use Imagine right now from the app, but it's not free. So on daily basis, I've been using the Photoshop beta, lah. So you can leverage all the generative AI tools for both visual ideas and copywriting to kickstart your creative ideation process. So not just generatively produce the artwork itself, but I think it should be, I think conceptually pun dia help lah for me. Of course, macam last time we do research first, we Google a lot of things. Technically the same. Basically, you ask ChatGPT, for example, what is the best, but don't pakai sebiji-sebiji lah. If not, there's no individual there's no macam differentiation between others because they can prompt the same thing, they can get the same same result as well. So it's better to kickstart with it and then you steadily expand the idea yourself because AI is not as human. There are lack of so many things, especially a human aspect, right? So you need to have human touch on top of this AI. Like I said, if you remember my cover just now is fully produced by AI. It's not perfect. If you can see, alamak tak nampak. The detail is not there lah. Even the face looks like an alien, if you can see it, but you cannot see. Yeah. The AI lack of many things, right? But then with this, you can submit, you already can have enough to propose or to pitch idea to your client or whatnot lah. And then you can start produce it nicely with production and everything. Okay, this is Photoshop beta. Let me play. Yeah, it looks like fairly easy, right? Macam, yalah, you just expand background all that, right? But then, in reality, the real that we put back then, right, is like you combining multiple images. Imagine it will take hours or even days, right, to make it perfect. For example, for this one. Nampak? Okay. So this is our brand ambassador. So previously, if you want to do this, right, this kind of this is not raw image. The second one is AI prompt that we edit from. AI help us to edit it. So the second one, previously we need to find similar body shape, similar color tone, exactly posture that we want. It may take forever, right, to scroll through our stock images, all that. It may take a while, but then with just one few clicks, it can just happen like that, which is magical for us lah, And yeah, on the left side, on the right side is the final artwork. So for the second example here, we basically prompt everything, and we use it as a visual itself. So all the text we put it ourselves lah, right? So this image, specifically this image, we need to scroll through stock images or even shoot ourselves. So it's may take forever. So adaptations. Alamak. Belum sampai JB. Dah sampai dah. Right. So from stock images, this at first this brief is not for 9 by 16 lah, vertical format, right? But then there's a request, and then we need it fast. So we extend the background, and it looks perfect. It's crazy, right? So the video is like this. Yeah, this is to Transjack Transformers lah. Let me replay again macam lagging. Yeah, although it's just small part of the visual, right? Just a background, but then it plays a big role, right? So with these kind of small things that we need to take a lot of time, it's not really the focal thing, right? But because of the background, sometimes it took a while because of the background it's not as big as we want all that, but now it can just happen in one few click. So for me, AI is very good it's a good tools lah, right? To help improve our productivity, work efficiency, and help to visualize and expand our idea even further, right? It cut long hours of spend on stock images website, you know. Super shortcut for photo editing, you know. This is like really for me. I'm really thankful for this lah, right? And help to visualize different poses and action, which is useful for storyboard. Right, because for storyboard, basically it's just repetitive, but we just want to like simple, different of certain character in it, right? For example, there are about different movement, right? And lastly, is cost efficient compared to stock images. This one I'm talking about the beta version of Adobe lah, because it's basically just free. Bukan free lah, we need to pay the subscription, but then it's just together with our monthly subscription. There's no additional charges. Right. So the future of filmmaking, what happened, right? So this, shout out to our friend, my friend Taufiq here, which is a film director. So he used many AI tools out there to come up with this video, like a trailer lah, right? Trailer. imagine this only, keluar apa ni? Alright. Oh, ada secret ending. Okay. Imagine this only, sorry. It only took him like 1 week like that to, it took him like, if let's say like macam roughly buang all the other job that he did in between, right? It only took him like 2 days to come up with this. Imagine rather than you showcasing, you proposing storyboard like usual, how about you use this instead? Like confirm your client was like, wow, what the hell? So yeah. So if you guys want to see more about this AI generative image or videos, right? You can follow this Prompters Malaya on Facebook. They're currently like producing a lot of content every day lah, right? You can always check them up. And it goes to my last punya ni lah slide, which is thank you. Lambat, belum keluar lagi. Right. Thank you.
Okay, terima kasih Encik Topet. Nice sharing, a very lengthy one, a lot of videos we see, and then hope tak semua orang takut lah dengan cerita tu tadi. But from what I see, we see like two contents of generative AI. One is talking about how you generate AIs using generate graphics using AIs. The other is using code. But what's interesting that I see is for generative AI that is images that are prompters Malaya, like they have a group of people like doing prompts to generate images. But are there any for codes? So that's what I wonder. Maybe you can have a code prompter, because I see in the Code Whisperer you need to do the comments first, right? For the prompts, you use comments and then you generate the codes. But I wonder maybe we can explore something more towards prompt engineering, something like that. All right, so without, I think, wasting any more time, okay, so before that, if you have any questions, remember you have the SLIDO, key in the number on the wall there, and also the feedback. If you would like to have, I mean, we are giving away AWS credits worth more than 100 ringgit. So you can do that, do the feedback, and then we'll give the codes outside. Okay, so I think for the next one, I would like to invite a representative from IIB to give the speech. Aina, yeah, on to you.
Hello everyone. Hi. So my name is Nur Aina and I am from Iskandar Investment Berhad. And I am representing my head. She's away in KL right now, so I'll be representing on behalf of my team. So, how are you guys doing? I mean, like, do you guys still have the energy to listen to my short presentation? Okay, that's good. Okay, so basically, who is the first timer here in Iskandar Putri? Any one of you? Like, it could be Iskandar or Medini itself. Okay, no one, just Shin and Fahmi, okay. So, welcome. So, I'm gonna explain briefly about what we're doing here. So, let me go to the next slide. So, as you can see here, this is the mapping of the Iskandar Malaysia, and it is divided into 5 different zones. And Iskandar Putri is located at the flagship B. This area, the blue mapping. So, what the advantage of this location is we are equipped with modern infrastructure, and our location is quite strategic as we are very near shore to Singapore, which is we are quite near, around like 18.6 km away from the Tuas Link. And then we have excellent connectivity in terms of we are very near to the 2 international airports and seaports as well. And then what advantage that you can get here is because we are have a business-friendly government where our city council, Iskandar Putri, is just located less than 500 meters around here. And then we have Kota Iskandar as well. And then aside from that, Around the Medini area, we have high quality services in terms of the education, where you can see in Ecobotanic we have EduCity, which is covered by our education arm under IIB. And then healthcare, we have Gleneagles and Columbia around here. So this is what makes Iskandar Putri as the ideal location for people to open their business and expand. Okay, next is, of course, highly skilled and talented workforce. Like we have Castrol, who are very expert in the fintech area, and we have few companies from biotechs, the nutrition technologies. Yeah, those are our assets for this area. Next, so a little bit overview about Iskandar. Have you guys heard about Iskandar Investment Berhad before this? Yes, like you. So you must be confused, like whether we are doing investment or what. But actually, we don't do investment for companies, but more on investment on the developments itself in this area. So we are actually a wholly owned subsidiary by Hazana, 60%. Hazana is a sovereign wealth fund, one of the sovereign wealth funds in Malaysia. And then another 20% from KWSP, and another 20% from the Kumpulan Prasarana Rakyat Johor, which is one of the Johor states. So under IIB, we are classified into 4 different departments, which is areas, which is the property development, where they are focusing on the development area. And then property investment, where we connect and funnel all the investors who wants to expand their business here. Next is our education hub, like I said just now, EduCity. They are one of the Asia first multi-campus in EduCity, where they don't only provide, they don't only attract university to open their business here, but also having a holistic and comprehensive facilities like EduCity Village is a college for the students, and then they have the EduCity Sports Complex. Yeah. And then lastly is our division, which is the ecosystem building. So one of the main focus why we are focusing on the digital side is because based on the previous MB, we are mandated to be one of the melting pot for innovation and digital hub in the Medini area. So hence why we have all these digital initiatives, and one of them is the Global Business Services. Global Business Services, GBS Iskandar, is basically we want to attract all the shared services company to open their business here. And what we're doing is we're doing facilitations for their business. And the second one is Drone and Robotic Zone. If you are not familiar, sorry. Okay, so the second one is the Drone and Robotic Zone. Drone and Robotic Zone is basically we provide them a test bed for before they are going commercialization. They need to do their testing, right? So we provide them the test bed for drone. If you can see, like over there, you see the Asia drone technology. Beside that is our 25 acres test bed. And thirdly is, of course, Common Ground is where we made a joint venture with Common Ground last 2 years. Yeah. And I believe that this is actually a platform, a catalytic platform for all startups to create visibilities of their place, of their company, sorry. And then lastly is Blockchain Village, where we want to attract all blockchain company to, we do attract and also offer programs. We do programs here, and mainly they are from the blockchain company. Yeah, next is, yeah, this is the milestone for Iskandar Investment Berhad. As you can see, we are prospect with 6,800 acres of land, and since 2006, Iskandar Investment has been incorporated and followed to up until now. These are the stakeholders and the companies that we have worked together and built to help build in this area. Yeah, like last year, we managed to get Raffles to open their university here in Medini 7. Okay. So yeah, basically I just already explained briefly about our ecosystem building. So our objective of become the ecosystem builder here in Medini is because we want to attract like-minded people in various areas. It could be technology, it could be business, it could be entrepreneurship, it could be anything, yeah. And then secondly, we want to provide a one-stop facilitation for businesses who wants to open business here. And thirdly, we want to provide a catalytic platform for all startups, scale-ups, and all the social enterprise companies to grow. Okay. Sorry, but okay. And lastly, to support the ESG framework, the ESG and sustainability framework, we also want to build we want to become the first region of the net zero carbon, centering on the digitalization, innovation, and global services here. So this is also to support our ESG and sustainability framework. And right now, like in this area, we want to build a hub where it should be aligned with all the SDGs, the targeted SDGs. We want to achieve that in this area, and also a hub powered with all kinds of technologies that supports, that promotes clean tech, smart energy management, like water management, waste management, and also we're striving to build a green building here in Iskandar Putri. So yeah, and also sustainability mobility, anything that is like EV car, electric vehicles, EV charging. Yeah, we want to promote those kind of technology here in this kind of investment Berhad. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all from me. It's quite short and sweet. Yeah, and if you have any questions or you want to connect with us, you can take this picture or scan the QR code to view our brochures and information about our company. Okay, I think that's all from me. It's less than a 10 minutes.
All right, thank you. Short and sweet as you are. Yeah, so I mean, IIB has been like helping a lot with the companies over here. They're giving support, all the places that they have. And yeah, very interesting things that they are doing here. Especially building up the ecosystem here. Last time this place is like nobody want to come here. But then right now I see a lot of cars, but no people. Yeah, outside you see a lot of cars, but then where are the people? I don't know where. So they are either inside the building, going to the events like this, and yeah. So basically, what we have next is I think the highlight of Sembang Masala and why is it named like that. So I think I would like to invite Jachi, Fahim, and Topet to on the stage to have a chat, the real Sembang Masala chat. Yeah, this is the Sembang Masala. Yeah, have a seat. So yeah, I mean this is like we want to try to do Sembang Masala. Do you know how we actually started this? The idea is because last time when we are like in the early stage of our startup, there's one guy in our circle. He really loves to do masala tea. There was a season when we just doing our work and suddenly we heard like tuntang 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 in the kitchen. We were based in a bungalow last time, and then we heard tuntang tuntang in the kitchen. What is this guy doing? And then we just go there. In that kitchen, there's a big round dining table. And then we just sat over there. And then he suddenly served us masala tea. And then after that, I think we just sing song, talk, something like that. and we thought like maybe we can do something with this. Doing sharing. Sometimes we talk about our work and stuff. Yeah. So. Yeah, so this is the guy who actually made the masala tea. Yeah. Something like that. Mr. Faris. Mr. Faris is one. How do you find Medini so far, Jachi?
This place called Medini, right?
Yeah, this place is Medini.
Okay. Yeah. I think so far it's really nice. It's really
Is this your first time in Johor?
No, it's my second time.
Second time. When was the first time?
In uni, like 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Fahim?
Yeah, no, this is my first time here.
Your
Yeah.
first time here.
Yeah, I
mean,
really like it.
I mean, all the girls are wondering your nationality. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, is it Malaysian? Are you
Oh no,
Malaysian?
I'm not Malaysian, and yeah, it's a complicated answer. I don't think we have. I need like an hour and a half to explain.
An hour.
it. So we'll explain it later.
all right. Okay. Yeah, have a drink. Something like that. So basically what we are going to do right now is basically just easy stuff, just Sembang, chat. And then I mean, my plan is actually just to check on the SLIDO if there is any questions that is prompted over there. So if you have any question, you can just put it on the SLIDO. It's anonymous. We don't have to know who you are, but make sure just ask nice questions. All right, so I think for the first one is from an anonymous. Is there any max character for the prompt code, the prompt for Code Whisperer?
There's no max character, but if you know something of prompt and engineering, maybe Fahim can explain a little bit more. But basically, the longer the prompt is the longer Code Whisperer will take to digest that information and provide the output. And I wouldn't recommend it to be long because it might not generate as accurately. And Fahim, do you want to explain a little bit why it doesn't generate it with the prompt engineering concepts?
Sure. I think the way it works under the hood is it does take a lot of your code as context. So if you think about that, your code itself is technically also part of the prompt. And I think the reason why we're struggling is because the way that Code Whisperer works, like JQ showed, right? It's calling back to the server. And the models under the hood are changing constantly. So I give an example of GPT and Claude where that context window went up to 100,000. So it'll keep improving. So right now there isn't necessarily a good one and an answer in terms of how much is the characters, but it keeps changing, keeps growing over time.
So you mean there's no limit to it?
There is a limit now, but if I say a limit right now, it may not be accurate in like a month or now, or especially during reInvent. That's our big kind of event where we have a lot of good features, or new features, new services, new capabilities. So things will definitely change by then. Let's just say that.
Yep.
Yeah, so on to the next, I think the same is, does Code Whisperer supports Flutter or Dart? If no, is there any light they will be available in the future? Maybe like not only Flutter and Dart, do they support like PHP?
Yeah, it supports
like that,
PHP.
Yeah? But Flutter and Dart?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, so basically Flutter and Dart, yeah, you just have to write it yourself. Something like that.
You can use ChatGPT for the moment.
Oh yeah,
ChatGPT. You can rely on help from anywhere else.
I mean, like Code Whisperer is there any like similar things like product like Code Whisperer on the market right now?
Yep, there is. It's called GitHub Copilot.
Copilot.
Yeah.
All right. So other than that, I mean, is Code Whisperer is free to use or do you?
Yeah, it's free for individuals. So if you want to use Code Whisperer, like I said, you just need your IDE, and if your IDE supports having an AWS toolkit as a plugin that you can install, then you can create an AWS Builder ID. So you just need your email address, create a password, then you can start using Code Whisperer for free. Without any AWS account.
Without any AWS account?
Yeah.
You just, okay, understand. All right, so, okay, free version of Code Whisperer shares our usage? Is it like privacy?
There is a place you can turn it off when you are...
Turn off
yeah,
sharing.
you can just opt out, like one of the terms
All right.
and conditions you tick and then you just opt out. Yeah, sharing the... Yeah.
All right, how do we connect our IDE with AWS Code Whisperer? Do we need an AWS account?
Nope.
No, we don't need. We just install the plugin, right?
Yeah.
All right. How do you do A/B tests on video marketing? Because I think I saw one just now is about like A/B testing on video.
finally something topic that I know how to answer. Yeah, so every test, right? So I cannot talk about the marketing side of it because I'm not expertise on that. But then for creative side, what we usually do is we test in terms of languages, right? We test in terms of the language itself, and then the theme of the video itself. For example, the theme is more into like thematic video, conceptual video, right? Or we do more into like copy-driven video or promotional hardworking video lah. We call it hardworking because it's hard sell, right? So we can always test which one goes better. Yeah.
How do you distribute the test? I mean, like, how do you know, like, so you...
So again, I'm not a marketer, right? So
okay.
we just produce, and then my marketing team will take over from there.
Okay, so
and
they set up all the A/B
yeah,
testing,
yes.
all right, configurations,
and of
then
course they will share us the which one goes, which one better, all that. Yeah.
Okay, understand. Berapa banyak video produce? How many videos that you produce?
Ooh, it's quite a lot.
I know one of my friend that he works like producing TikTok videos. Like he produced only one person produce like 21 videos a month. Like that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So what about you? How much do you get?
For Boost, I think it's around 3 to 4 times 4, so it's like 12 TikTok videos. But we also have those motion graphical video yang macam all the text moving, all that, right? That one also we have like around 2 video per one, so it's like more or less 30 videos lah. Yeah,
Alright.
And plus adaptation and everything. Yeah.
So 30 videos a month, something like that.
Yes.
Or 10 more than my friend just now. That's a single person versus
because
Boost.
TikTok videos tak pakai banyak time sangat.
Okay,
right?
I understand.
Yeah,
It's very short.
Yeah, you just need to shoot. You need
Okay.
to find like your internal talent.
Okay, I understand.
Shoot it, right? And it dia punya editing is not really time consuming. And it's proven that those UGC content, right, like those self shot or like you shoot pakai phone, like simple stuff, lagi senang nak produce, and it's more effective.
Alright.
Right? Because we like literally interact with your audience. Yeah.
So TikTok videos are faster to produce.
Yeah, TikTok and Reels punya style lah. Yeah.
Okay, understand. Alright, so for the next one, do you mind sharing your creative processes on developing your contents and tips, deliver more impactful design for the audiences?
Yep, I get it.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah. So first, I think we should exclude ourselves from being designer first or being a director, whatnot, right? We need to be human first, right? So what is relevant to you and for your community or your target audience, right? Be human first. And then get that insight, right? Get that insight, what you want to tackle, and from there you translate it into big ideas. Yeah. So whoever got the best insight basically win the game.
Because for insight on the audience, you mean?
No, insight lah. For example, if let's say I want to do like I want to do campaign for Merdeka, right? So what kind of insight that I want to tackle for Merdeka campaign? Yeah, of course I cannot tell my Merdeka campaign is not out yet. Yeah, but then what you want, what topic, what problems you want to tackle, right? The best problems always come up with translate best idea. Yeah, that's what I'm going to lah. And then the visual direction is actually really depends on your big ideas, how you want to tackle your big ideas. For example, if your big ideas you want to tackle more into like the togetherness, right? What kind of creative direction yang related to that lah, right? If let's say it's more about you want just to showcase hand, like holding hands together, right? It's also like one of art direction lah, you know. So it really depends on your your insight and your idea and how you want to tackle your ideas. You cannot have like one specific formula that you always follow, you know. Yeah. It's really back to that, yeah.
So that's creative. There's no one.
It's subjective,
way.
right?
Very subjective.
So the best way to win our audience is to think like our audience.
Okay,
yeah, that's where I'm coming from. Yeah.
All right. So the next question will be about what's next after generative AI? So I mean, like, is the generative AI is like the I think it's the current one. Maybe the next one. What's the
mean that's a difficult question to answer. If I could predict the future, you know.
No, I mean you are like involved in this, but then what do you think? Like, what are the breakthrough that all the developers are going to have after generative AI? I mean, like generative AI is like helping a lot of people being productive in terms of generating like videos, like he showed codes, like you guys did, and then people are using it. So what do you think is next, or is it still too early? I mean, the technology is too early or something.
Yeah, I think the technology is still very early. We haven't really gotten a lot of the benefits there.
Yeah, that's why the scary video just now, you know.
Yeah. So that I think what's kind of going to be next for AI, first of all, is probably going to be having government agencies and laws and regulations kind of catch up to where generative AI is going. So that's one. The other thing is, and normally in the presentations we talk a little bit about some of the problems with generative AI. There's a few things. First one is the compliance. So say you're an organization and you deploy Stable Diffusion, right, into your environment for creative use cases. Like maybe, you know, when you're doing print media or whatever ads, you're like, okay, give me a design. If you're liable for that and I can just type in text, there's no reason I can't just type in text and says, hey, give me a photorealistic picture of you in a various states of undress, right? But then who's liable for that? Is it you or your customer, your organization? So that's kind of the compliance side. The other side is generative AI, at the end of the day, it doesn't have a brain, right? It doesn't reason, it's just a good probability matrix. It knows how to predict the next word. So it'll make up things. We call it hallucination. So if you go to ChatGPT or any LLM today and you say, hey, solve this complicated math problem, it'll give you a formula, it'll look right, but the math will be wrong. So it's still not quite there. People are still trying to figure out demos where letting generative AI think through and use tools, and that's kind of the next wave that's coming up. I've seen a really great demo where, and you can do this today with LangChain, where you can say, hey, this is a tool I'm giving you. It's an API call that will let you search the internet, and this is how you use it. And then you say, okay, I'm gonna ask you a question, and if the tool is needed, use it, and then give me the answer based on that. And it's called chain of thought reasoning. And this is a workshop we do for prompt engineering, but even that is just starting to get there. The other problem with generative AI right now is that some of these models are really big. I mean, Llama 2 was just released by Meta on Facebook. It's got 40 billion parameters. It takes a pretty beefy GPU, even on AWS, to run. To really get advantage out of it, these models need to get faster, they need to get smaller, and they need to have the same capabilities while doing that. And then we can integrate it into things like maybe your smartwatch or maybe into an assistant where it can have advantage of these tools, keep the accuracy, and actually give us true productivity benefits. Until we get to that stage, it's still growing, it's still gonna get faster, and then we have to wait for the next revolution on what's gonna be the next breakthrough, right? It may be something, maybe we're getting closer to, you know, AGI, which is general AI.
Yeah, there's still a long way to that. I mean, in terms of generative AI, it's still not mature. So I wonder, I mean, did we really go to the moon? Something like that, yeah? No? Yeah? So, okay. Hi, Topet. I'm a junior designer. Can share a bit on how I can grind my level up to become creative director like you?
Right. There's no shortcut, right? There's no shortcut to this. But I would suggest that what you can do is to always learn new skill, right? The more useful to you you are, the more useful to the team, right? But then, and although with your skill, you also need to polish your ideation as well, because in creative in the creative industry arena, great ideas win everything lah, right? So in terms of there's two parts of it. One is ideation, which is very important. You always need to propose or pitch new ideas, great ideas, right? And next is to always problem solve lah, right? With all the skills that you gather, yeah. Because although I consider quite fast, I've been senior art for when I was 27, my first senior art role. And creative head like around 31, 32, 30 or around that area lah, right? But then what I do is, it's like that. There's no shortcut. You need to work harder than everyone else. You need to research more. You need to be very passionate. You need to be the nerd, right? You need to use all your social media, exhibit your work, right? Show whatever you've done, right? For example, I used to join a lot of exhibition, art exhibition. That is just for my personal lah, right? Despite of doing my work for my company, I also want to produce for my own self. This is like my escape, right? I use my social media, my Behance, my Instagram, not posting selfie, but to produce more artwork lah. Until recently, I got 2 childs already, so cannot have much time. Yeah.
Sure. Just a quick question. So when it comes to software engineering, we have GitHub, and then we look at the GitHub stars for the repo. We'll have lead code, like little exams, things like that. What's the equivalent in your field? If you were hiring someone today, how would they kind of stand out from the field?
Okay. I think software skills and their portfolio, I would say, whatever they've done before, right? So that proof what these people capable of. But then, if let's say you want to compare with like those school work or uni work, right? It's a bit tough because it's a team job, right? It's a group work, right? So we don't know whether this is the guy who produced it or that one is a bit too tricky. But then we need to dive deeper into their Behance or whatnot to see.
So
what they have done
showcasing on
before.
Behance
Yes,
is one.
yes. Yeah, some people they just design it and they just keep it for themselves. They're scared that people will take like truly the idea, still the ideas, all that, right? But then you need to think about how you can inspire other people. So they also like you teach people. When you give others, you get back, like those kind of thing. I would say,
Yeah. Speaking of like this kind of thing, I was wondering because I heard that this AWS has this sort of like what do you call that, bar raiser program. It's 5-step interviews. I mean, that's really interesting. And then I wonder, did you guys, both of you, like went through that? And what was it like? I think Jachi.
Actually, mine was easier. I think Fahim has more work experience. So for me, actually joined AWS as a fresh grad. So I only had to go through a 5-hour interview. It's not that much. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to break it down a bit.
Oh, okay. It's 5 hours with 5 interviewers, I think. Each 1 hour. Actually, there's only 4. And then you get someone who is not part of, like, so I'm a solutions architect, and they will get someone who's not a solutions architect to be in the interview, just so that they can evaluate you as a candidate, not without any bias. So that's kind of like the bar raiser thing.
You mean an external party, like sitting on the corner?
No, it's from the same company, but they are
company.
like a different division.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Check on
and
different
it's
values.
not to have like bias, like, oh, she likes tech, I like her, so let's just pass her through the interview, something like that. Yeah. Okay, so Fahim, you want to talk about your longer interview?
Yeah, I think, yeah, 5 hours into crazy, man.
So, I mean, the AWS interview process is well documented. There are literally people out there who make a living on helping people pass. So just keep that.
Helping people pass, like.
Yeah. So the process is the one I went through, which was about last year, right? In the middle of last year or early last year, was you have an hour phone screen, which is just a breadth of technical questions that they throw at you, just to make sure that you're not a one-trick pony, for lack of a better term. Then the second interview is an assignment where they give you a complicated architecture problem. That's what I had. And then you have to present it. And 4 of your potential colleagues will take on different roles. And then they will figure out from the first interview where you're weak and make sure they ask you those questions to see how you will handle them. For our roles is a customer-facing role. So along with being able to explain technical depth and really technical concepts very easily, we also get tested on how do we handle tough situations with a customer as well, right? So you kind of have that, and it's a whiteboarding session. And then you go to what we call the loop, which is the 5 questions, or the 5 interviewers back to back. I had 6 for whatever reason, maybe I'm special. And just kind of to add to the bar raiser, the other point of the bar raiser is that one individual is very different. They have a few roles. One is also to keep everybody honest, like Jakey was saying, to prevent bias. But the other thing is they're not part of your immediate team or even your geographics team. So for example, if I really needed a solutions architect on my team and I'm a manager, I'm going to be a little bit desperate. But the bar raiser goes in and says, look, I'm not part of your team. I don't care if you get one today or you get one 2 years from now. My job is to make sure that the candidate you pick is better than 50% of the people that you currently have on your team. So they also have the right to veto. So if your bar raiser doesn't like you but everyone else does, you're out. Because that's kind of the concept there.
Have you been any part of that interviewing process?
I haven't. Have you been? You've been an interviewer, right? Or not yet?
Not yet. So hopefully you'll be there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that's the other thing. We all have to interview. That's part of our things. Yeah. So eventually, me and her will have to interview people.
I see. Is that the same at Boost? I mean, like, what's the process like? Is it or?
I think I can like macam answer this in broader context, right? For example, for creative industry or creative agency, right? We don't have those long interviews, right? Usually is they break into multiple sessions lah. So the first the first interview basically just to understand what's going on, you know, asking questions, all that. What's the job description, all that, right? And then towards the end, they will ask you to come up with, to pitch ideas, right? They will give mock brief. So they will, maybe they give like few days for you to come back and present to them lah. So what I did back then, what I kenal back then lah, right? So there will be like macam one group, in one meeting room. There's a lot of people there. That will be evaluating you, and they expect you to present like at least 3 ideas. Yeah. So after that, after you're done with your presentation, they will come they challenge the idea lah, you know, you need to protect it, blah 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 blah. And then the third interview basically to log lah. If let's say
for the first, second, and third, is it all the same person, or is it like you interview?
Yeah, it's usually the for example, head of creative director or the
on the
ECD.
same day, at the same day, in the same day.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's impossible for you
Your
to come
5
out.
hours is in the same day, or just like same day, 5 hours, just waiting in the room, waiting for your turn. Or something like that.
Usually for
crazy.
creative is like in between few days lah.
Few days, okay.
You get the brief and
Alright.
then you come back in maybe next week or maybe within 3 days, 2 days.
So the feedback immediately after that, a week after that.
So after you the feedback,
Yeah,
that means
I mean,
whether you get it or
result,
not.
yeah.
I think it varies lah. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes 1 week, because you're not just by yourself, right? There's other people queuing also. Yeah.
Is it the same with you guys? Like, it's not like after the 5 hours, okay, you don't get it.
Oh yeah, they have something called a 5+2. I can't remember what it's called. Basically, they promise to get back to you within 5 days, 5 business days.
All right.
So they will email you, or the HR person will call you.
Okay, understand. So I think if I'm opening the floor to the audience, if you have any questions, Iga, no? Maybe one last question from the Slido. All right. So let me choose. Advancements of tech, emerging new softwares. How do you manage to follow up with the new softwares and also juggle with? I cannot read. I think juggle with some new job. Best, yeah. Yeah. How do you juggle? I mean, this is like you have your main job and you have other things that you're doing outside of your work. So how do you juggle that? Yeah.
Is it the question?
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Topet. With the advancement of tech and emerging new softwares, as a creative, how do you manage to follow up with the new softwares and also juggle with what? It's a cut. Huh? The next question.
And
how do you learn and explore in the same time juggle with your ongoing project? Okay. All right.
I think new software pun basically dia tak lari from the original one, you know. So for me, it's like updates rather than new software, right? If let's say we jump from CorelDRAW to Illustrator, for example, right? It's fairly the same, right?
Macromedia Flash.
Even the
to
shortcuts are
Flash.
similar.
Yeah, even the shortcut is similar. So it's like instinctively you know how to do it, how to use it. It's just like, for example, I never use, if you know InDesign, I never used InDesign before. But then if I tried, it's kind of same with Illustrator, for example. So the software is similar. Even Canva, if you ask me, Canva is way better, it's easier compared to Illustrator. But then I use Illustrator more because I can do more things, right? I can illustrate more. I can do a lot of features that I really want now, because I'm from the era of manual, right? Everything needs to do manual, as in Illustrator lah, right? So I prefer to design myself rather than to customize, unless I don't have time to do it. Yeah.
So Canva it is.
Yeah. But then tak pernah pakai Canva lah. Yeah. Follow up, use software, juggle.
And juggle with ongoing project. I mean, like I understand.
Yeah. And then right, when I say about the how my thought process just now, right, from insight we translate to ideas. So the ideation is very important. Is the key, so that when you campak mana pun, you throw you anywhere, any software you can deliver, because your creativity is there. Yeah, so creativity for me is like Bruce Lee said lah, it's like water lah, you know. It's water. Formless, right? So you pour water in the cup, you become a cup, right? So creativity is like that. When you have that creativity, you know what to execute, you know what form you want to execute. Any software also you can, even you put like Microsoft Word or whatnot, you can use it, you know, because there's the vision that you want to visualize to is there already. It's just what kind of software you want to use. Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Fahim? JQ,
how do you keep up with stuff and balance work?
Let me think. Yeah, I think I will always. You can always make time to learn a new tech if you are geeky enough. So, like ChatGPT, generative AI, all of this came all of a sudden. Well, all you have to do is just download ChatGPT and try it out. Otherwise, there are a lot of other things that in our company they force us to learn. Generative AI stuff. So you kind of have to just go ahead and do it, you know, do some hands-on, so very tech things. You just need to try it out, and then you will know how you can use it. And the best way to learn something is actually to do it. That's how. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you have to kind of burn the midnight oil. But okay, so I can give a little bit more practical advice. So what I'm about to say is opinion of mine. It's Fahim, not Fahim from AWS. What I'm about to say does not represent, disclaimer, blah, blah, AWS, right? So one of the things that I got good advice once from a senior about when you should start looking at new tools, because there's so many things constantly coming out. When do you decide? So what he told me, and I think it's great advice, is I used to be a software developer. I was learning Objective-C, if you know iOS, and then Dart and Kotlin and all these things, and Flutter came out. And he said, Fahim, you should go on interviews every month, even if you're happy with your job. I said, okay. And every time you go on an interview and you start getting questions you don't know the answer to, that's when you go learn that tool. And if you go on interviews and you know 90% of the answers, don't bother yet. Just continue doing what you're doing, enjoy your life, save your weekends. But the moment you get there and say 20 to 30% you don't actually know the answer to, all right, waste a few weekends then. So this advice has kind of been useful for me in my career. I think hopefully that helps a lot of the juniors or even the seniors to decide when to focus your effort and when not to.
Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective. Yeah, quite brave.
Quite brave? Why would it be brave?
No, I mean, if someone's so if you have that kind of question, do you answer to that, or like just I don't know and then waste a few weekends on that?
Oh, like if I get a question I don't know the answer to? No, I think maybe, I don't know, we've been trained well enough. If we don't have an answer to something, we just say, oh, I don't know. Yeah. But always ask. So what is the answer? And I think you've done interviews. I don't think the interviewer will ever have a problem explaining what the correct answer is, right? And then it's a learning opportunity, and there you go.
Yeah. All right. So we still have time? Yep, for one more last question. AI, okay, we'll make future generation lazy. Let's choose, are there any teaser on upcoming AWS reInvent? AI will make future generation lazy and lack of creative. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Will make future generation lazy and lack of creative. What's your opinion?
Right. I think we look at things like very different in very different way right now. You think of like this new, for example, when they created software, right? When they start to digitalize, people say that, wow, from manual to digital, wow, people will be lazy, right? But then now we have digital, now we have AI help us to do better, right? But then we say it will lead to people who become lazy. I think no, right? If you see Iron Man, he has Jarvis, right? Yeah, Jarvis helped him in so many ways. But then who built Jarvis is him, right? Is Iron Man. But then with his tools, his creation, they become better man, become like superhero. So if you like superhero plus another Jarvis in you, right? So you become like superhuman already lah. For me, that's my point here lah. My point. If you're good with this kind of skill, it will enhance your skill. If you're not good, this will enhance you as well, right? To a better designer or creative person. Yeah, I think it's not something that we should avoid, but something we should embrace. Yeah.
Yeah, I think even with Code Whisperer, you can generate the code, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna replace all software engineers, because you still need a software engineers to know whether the code is optimized, whether you're building the integration properly from like start to end. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily make the person not doing their job anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I think generative AI is special, but it's also not special. It's all a lot like search engines. It's just kind of the technology moving forward. Universities have had a big time. We work with them, quite a few. And they're always like, oh, now all my assignments, especially like the marketing students I'm working with right now, their lecturers are like, oh, they'll just generate an image or they'll generate the prompt. But some of the lecturers are very positive, like, okay, that's good, because now I can actually ask them a lot more complicated questions than I could have before. I don't have to be so easy, because they can just generate the answer and then I can ask them critical questions. So I think it's just normal. Cars are the same way. You know, the engines used to be really simple. Now it's all complicated. No one really knows how to fix it. It's okay. We use our brain power for something else, right? So, yeah, I think you hit it on the head. It's Jarvis, not Ultron.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so I think that's the end of the time that we have today. Thank you. What's that? That's another one? Other? Come on, Fahim, what is your nationality?
See me after class.
see him after class. I think when we do, I mean, so after this, we still have our food over there. It's a special from us. It's a Laksa Johor. You should try it. This is the highlight of our F&B, Laksa Johor, and also Teh Masala. That's the food. Not kacampul, Laksa Johor. Kacampul is not Johor. That one is like Arabic.
What is that? What is that?
Kacampul is like bread with beef sauce, something like that. Yeah, sounds good, right? Right? But no, that's no kacang. Is there any kacang in kacampul? Red bean, red bean sauce with beef, something like that, and eggs. Yeah. But yeah, thank you Fahim, Jachi, and Topet coming all the way from KL, entertaining us. All right. Hope to see you again, and I hope to have this see you soon in the next one. So enjoy the food, and you can like ask his nationality after class. All right. Thank you, Fahim. Thank you. Thank you, Jachi. Thank you, Topet. All right. Photo session. All right. Yeah, the drink's very nice. Yeah, Faris. You hear that, Faris? The drink.
do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. More than power, never ever after work is over. Work it, make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever, hour after hour, work is never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever, hour after hour, work is never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever, hour after hour, work is never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever, hour after hour, work is never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever, hour after hour, work is never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever, hour after hour, work it never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever, hour after hour, work is never over. Never over. Work it, make it better, do it faster, makes it stronger. All that effort, power. Work is never over. Work it, make it better, do it faster, makes it stronger. All that effort, power. Work is never over. Work it faster, makes it stronger. All that effort, power. Work it never over. Work it harder, do it faster. Our work is never over. Work it harder, make it better, do it faster, makes us stronger. More than ever, hour after hour, work is never over.
Jiwa makin terasing, peraturan alam kerap hadir waktu ini. Duduk rapat di sudut ruang, aku tilik keadaan untuk mencari kurang. Aku jujur, aku tewas pada semua cara, aku tertinggal. Andai saat tika ini wujud satu susu mendukung aku dalam senyum. Angin bawakan hasrat ini, sampaikan kabar ini untuk dia agar